I gotta check if this works. Oh yeah, it is working. Cool. I guess I'm live. That's pretty crazy. Let me actually lower the music. Oi, oi. Okay, that's better. Oh boy. This is gonna be one hell of a stream. Oh shit, I have a freaking ad break every time I start a stream. I don't actually know. I feel like that makes things worse, actually. I'm not entirely sure. Let me check. Wait. Everything should be fine. Let me see. Oh goodness, that spooked me.
Hovu Wonderful Mini Emsleo-waving MINEMA73RAVE.
Thank you for subscribing. I'm trying to see if this makes it better or worse. Wait, I need it to be like last. Wait, when did I last stream? I think it was. Oh my god, I've only streamed like one time this month. Whew. Oh well. I just need to see if it's actually like I need to see. Oh, okay, let me see. I need to. Okay, earnings. Cause like, for some reason, like now I'm getting paid more for ads, but I don't want. Oh god, I flew over the little felting kit. I don't want there to be like, I don't care about the money from the ads, cause it's literally like 60 cents, right? I just want there to not be ads, you know? But some people say that it's worse if you have pre-rolls, and some people say that it's like worse like it is. I have no idea. I have no idea what is good and what is not good. But anyway, hello everyone. Hello Nigel. Hello Doves. Hello Wolf. Hello Invert. Hello Aki. Hello SpongeBob. Oh freak! I forgot. I forgot to open Mix It Up. Okay, there we go. Oi, what's happening? Okay, there we go. Hello Degree Shuffle. Hello. Let me see. Open it up.
Hello Mini.
Hello Raven. And thank you for subscribing. I hope you're doing well. I hope everyone's doing well. I think Mix It Up is crashing. Oh, never mind. It's open. Let me test if it actually works. Let's try it. Damn it. Okay, I do think I need to oh wait, what do I need to do? I don't remember. Oh, it's because Bacon isn't here right now, and I can't turn to him for what is it called? I can't turn to Bacon for technical support. Please wait while Mix It Up saves your settings. Thank you. I didn't change anything, but let's open it up again. Welcome back. What was that? Welcome back, Hans. Oi! Mix this up. Oh, wow. Damn. What a gangsta what is it called? The comeback. Okay, let's see if this works this time. Oh man, this is like all jumbled up weirdly. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's what the frick is going on? Okay, whatever. It's fine if it's messed up. Does it work? You guys have no idea the hoops that I jumped through to make it sure that this stupid redeem works, and it doesn't work. You have no idea. Okay, let me tell you because I've memorized this shit now. I've memorized it. First, I have to open a special version of OBS on my computer. Then, once I've done that, I need to... Oi. Oi. Hello. Hello. Is this a cat cam? Kitty came to say hi. But once I've opened the special version... Oh, hello! Hello, Hatch! Oh goodness, I have to say hi to you guys. Give me a sec though. What was I saying? I have to log in 2 different versions. I have to log into 2 different versions of like the chat, and then I need to like disconnect the chat from. It's like a whole ordeal. Let me tell you, it's a whole ordeal. You're gonna stick felt all over the kitties? Oh my goodness! Not like that. Not like that. I have felt thingy here. I don't know. But hello Darkshade, hello Fuzzy, hello Girded, hello Han, hello Grim, hello Fuzzy, hello Hatch. Did I say hi to Dobbs already? I think I did. Hello Sponge of Mystery. Hello. How are you guys? I hope everyone's doing well. And I'm sorry if I missed anyone, but thank you for the effort, it's worth it. What was I gonna say? Wait, it's worth it? Oh, but it didn't work! It's kind of unfortunate. I'm gonna pause the redeem for now, because I don't want anyone to accidentally waste their points thinking that they will get a Michael reaction, when in fact they won't get a Michael reaction. Oh, that one as well I need to pause. Okay, Michael reaction and the objection, and I think the tomato as well. Does the TTS work? I have no idea. I think it should. Yeah. Okay, I think that was everything. I think. But anyway, hello? Hello? I got this kit for my mother-in-law. I got this... Screw micro-reaction, you want a micro-aggression, oh my. You know, I didn't really think through this, think through the fact that, you know, you guys can rotate me like this. Though, I feel like I'm in a microwave, you know? Oh, hello, sack of shit! Also, check this out. I have a tiny little mole on my finger. Isn't it pretty? It's a weird thing, but I just have it. Also, check out my freaky nail. You see that? It's freaky. My nail is freaky. Anyway. Ooh, spring break. Oh, that's nice. Oh, you're getting A's on all your assignments. That's nice. I'm so proud of you. You're doing such a good job. Let me poke you. Would you? Boop. Boop. Take that. You get a little boop. I love saying hi to sack of shit. I'm definitely not like picking favorites or anything, but sack of shit has a special place in my heart. Check out this guy, by the way. He's gotten so much hair. These are all like, so these are all my cat's whiskers. Whenever I find a whisker, I just pluck it onto this guy. See how much hair he has? Like, this is like 2 whole like sets of whiskers already. It's a lot of whiskers. I've been collecting them for a long while. Wait. It is Doc Brown? What? I'm confused. Hello, Lisco. Hello. ASMR. Welcome to my ASMR stream. Today we're gonna be tapping on a piece of plastic. So, also, I'm not wearing pants, so if this blanket falls off me, I'm getting banned. Maybe I shouldn't say... Maybe I shouldn't say that. But, anyway. Hi. Okay, I'm just gonna. I mean, who wears? Listen. Are you wearing pants right now? It's like what am I doing? Like, why would I wear pants? You know, why would I wear pants if I don't have to? I'm in my own home, and I will refuse to wear pants. You guys are wearing pants at this hour. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Oh, you're at work. Oh, okay. Well, well, I mean, I guess that's a good reason. Not after I heard that. Damn. You're still wearing panties though. How do you know? How do you know? Okay, I swear I am. Like, how do you know? Can you confirm this? I'm in silk pajamas. Ooh, that's fancy. Look at this, by the way. This is all just like in a blob. It's a blob. Oh, this is like detached from the blob. I'll just put it over here. I know because I am your chair. Well, thank you. Thank you for all your service. But let me tell you, this is the cat that we're gonna be making today. I'm gonna be making a cat today. This little thing. Don't scan the QR code. If you want to scan a QR code, you can. Wait, how do I? No, this way. Wait, I just need to like point at my pussy pretty much. No, this one over here. This one, you see? That one that's in the corner. There you go. Anyway, we are gonna make a cat, and it's gonna be gorgeous, okay? I have felt it before, truth be told. I have felt it before, but I am not very good at it. So we'll see what happens, but you know, I'm down for the ride and you're down for the ride, so we'll just ride on until we reach the end of the cliff and go hurling down a mountain. Ain't that nice? But this is the instructions. This is the instructions, and here's the other side. If you want to make your own, I doubt you do, cause who would want to just do that? I don't know. Based on this, I don't know. Yeah, felted. Yes, felting, not felt anything. I would never feel anything. I'm gonna start with like roughly half. Actually, I'm not gonna even read. Who the fuck needs to read instructions? I'm a professional. I'm a professional. I'll have you know. Okay, I say that, but I've never completed a project. It'll be fine. Don't worry. It'll probably be fine. This could have gone terribly. Don't worry. I have a bunch of needles here. Oh, hello, Kaisa. It's so nice to see you. How you doing? Oh, everyone. I have to tell you guys about Kaisa. Kaisa baked me a little pie, and I ate the pie, and I like the pie, and I'm a pie liker now. But unfortunately, I'm a cake lover, so I still prefer cake over pie. But the pie that Kaisa baked me, it was so tasty, and I really liked it. And yeah. Everything you say sounds naughty. Maybe that's just your filthy mind. Have you ever thought about that? But let me. This is a tutorial now. So we have some felting wool here, and basically felting, what you do, you can do this in 2 different ways. Did you guys know that there's 2 different types of felting? You can either felt with a needle, which we're gonna be doing today, but you can also do wet felting, which is if you are artistic and autistic, just like me, you will fucking hate it. And I had to do that because I went to an art school and they were like, yeah, this is a necessary like course that you have to take, and you're gonna have to felt with soapy water and wool. You have to make the wool moist and you have to like rub it and you have to feel it even though it's icky and shitty, and I just can't. I hate it. I don't even want to think about it anymore. But I'm just gonna make a little ball here. Approximately, who needs instructions, right? Also, hello, Soph. It's so nice to see you. But yeah, you have to make it moist and rub it. I really don't see how I say things. Look at this. This is like a little cinnamon bun. It's like a little cinnamon bun. Are the new Bitcraft updates cool? Are they nice? I hope they're nice, cause I'm interested. But I haven't had the time or the moment to play Bitcraft. Except I have, and every time I have gone online, no one's there. I'm just alone. No one's there when I'm playing Bitcraft. But also hello, Tear Sheet. Hello. I hope you're doing well. I'm just gonna I'm gonna need to focus on this so I don't accidentally fucking. That would be terrible. That would be terrible. So you just do this. You just stab it. Isn't making fiber art so relaxing? Isn't it relaxing, chat? I just feel so relaxed right now. So relaxing. Anyway, hello, Lonkero. How you doing? Hope you're doing great. I do like fiber arts. It's great. Boys, there's been a moiter. Oh boy, I'm alright. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm doing great. I got this from my mother-in-law, so basically Bacon's mom. I got this from Bacon's mom, and she said, I know that you like all kinds of crafts and stuff, so I got you this felting kit. And I haven't actually shown you the whole kit yet, but it has the that stuff, and it has these little eyes that you can make, and then this long black strip is like the whiskers, and then like a keychain thing here. You can make it into a keychain. Also, you get a bunch of these what are these? Needles. Because if you guys didn't know, it's actually quite easy to break these felting needles. You can't really see it from the camera, but it has like these little divots. It's not like a normal needle, it's like it's kind of freaky. But it makes it so that the fibers will get bundled and stuff, Trust me, I went to art school. Oh, I went to art school. Oh, art school. Yes, and then I dropped out. Oh boy. Anyway. Yeah, like little hooks. Exactly. Thank you. That's very much how I meant. But, what was I... Wait, your calling card would be leaving googly eyes on the victims. Oh my god, that would be so perfect though. Wait, you dropped out of art school before you earned your degree in a lifelong poverty? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the thing is, I didn't really drop out rather than I transferred, but it kind of counts in the sense that if you switch the schools, you won't get the art degree. You will just get the normal high school degree. It's lukio or gymnasiet for those who are Finnish and Swedish. Gymnasiet. Konstgymnasiet. Does that work? That's konst is art in Swedish, right? I'm not crazy. I feel like I'm cheating by just having it. Like, it already feels like it's pretty much a ball. Look at that. Oh.
Anate Om naurahtava ilmiö.
Hello, Creel. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome. This is Creel. I've been playing Baldur's Gate with Creel for quite a few hours now, and yeah, it's been epic. What if she has an wait? Watch out! She has a needle. I'm gonna poke you, chat. I'm gonna poke you. Poke, poke, poke. Poke, poke. Wait. The real reason you are streaming so... Oh my god, Jesus. I got spooked by the cats. The real reason you are streaming is so you can flex us with that XXL stream deck. Damn right, you got me. I even have like... I have like these fancy buttons you can press. Look at that. I have the googly eye button right here. Isn't that great? I also have this thing. I don't know if I can like, can I show you guys? It's kind of, oh, there's, by the way, there's like a random lady there. I actually had to like cover her with a hairband because I did not want to accidentally get, you know, in trouble or anything. Where'd Minnie go? Hey, look, it's me. You get to see how the sausage is made? Yes, you do. This is my... Okay, this, you're gonna... I'm exposing my really shitty, like... I have like... I have toilet paper right here. This is my really shitty desk right now, but... This is what I stream with. Wait, can I show the, like, the little... Oh my god, am I... Okay, I'm just gonna do this because I don't want to accidentally... Oh, this is calibrating. I don't want to accidentally like show my face in case it has... Oh my god, it has! Okay, that's good to know. Okay, cool. So, they don't have the little weird... I don't know how... I think that's only in the computer app. It's hard to explain what I mean. But, let me just... There you go. It's hard to explain what I mean, but, on this is my iPhone. Right here. You can only see a little corner of it right now, but my iPhone is an iPhone I only got for streaming because I don't really use an iPhone. I got this secondhand. It was the meeting that I went. I actually went to Helsinki to get it. Also, hello Chuck, it's so nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. I hope the bitting is crafting very well. I hope the craft is bitting. Yeah, bitcraft. Should I be trusted around sharp objects? I think so. I think so. Goodness. And hello, cute peluche. Hello. I hope you're doing well. Oh, the cats are going crazy in the background, but oh well. Also, I don't know if did I say hi to you yet, Lisko? Hello. I hope you're doing well. And yeah, it is a voodoo doll of the chat. Dun, 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 dun. I love fiber arts. So very cozy, isn't it? Maybe they think you are stabbing a small cat. Oh dear. Yeah, my cats are going wild because this already looks like like this thing so much. This looks terrible. This looks awful. This looks like a turd or like a hairball that a cat threw up. Oh well. It'll look okay sooner or later. Let me see. Do I have my... Oh yes, I do have my footrest. Why does it feel like the needle is poking into my kidney right now? She's stabbing our balls! No! Not the balls! Anything but the balls! That's what they all say. And then I target the wiener and they take it back. No, anything but the wiener! Men, they're always so indecisive. Anyway. Anyway. So I don't even know, like, I hope this is gonna look good, because I was hoping that once I have completed this, I would give it as a gift to my mother-in-law. But I don't know if it's gonna look good ever. We'll see. But Bacon's mom, let me tell you guys, Bacon's mom is so nice. She's such a sweetheart. I love her. Like, if it doesn't work out with me and Bacon, I'm always saying this, but if it doesn't work out with us, I'm going for his mom. She's just so nice. Oh, but yeah, she gave me this kit because she knows that I make all kinds of like crafts and stuff, and I've tried pretty much every craft. The thing is, though, I don't really like felting that much because I don't know. I'm kind of careless, and the needle does kind of scare me a little bit. But I feel like if I'm doing it on stream, then at least I'll have to pay attention to the thing that I'm doing, because it would be even worse if I stabbed myself on stream. Though I do kind of enjoy like the repetitiveness. You know, a little bit of this looks like a walnut. Oh wait, is it a walnut? I think it's a walnut. Doesn't it look a little bit like with the holes? It kind of looks like a walnut. I wonder how a person with trypophobia would feel about this hobby. Oi! Oi! Oh my god, I really hope that I don't get spooked at some point and stab myself. That would be terrible. Is this foreshadowing? Chat, is this foreshadowing? Okay, thanks for popping in, Chuck. I appreciate you. Stream title changed to just stabbing. Honestly, though. One thing that I am doing right now, I do have the art tag. Wait, do I have the art tag or did I change it? I'm not sure. I do have the art tag. I do. But the thing is, I fucking hate the fact that the art, literally the art tag has like AI generated bullshit as like the picture. And I cannot believe that they have not changed that yet. I'm not sure if I should be like boycotting it or not. I don't know if that would really do anything if I'm the only one who's doing it. But yeah, the art tag, like little thumbnail thing, that is AI generated. It's AI generated slop. And I'll say it with my full chest. You know I mean it. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it, there was like a whole big thing about it. Like the At least it hasn't changed from where I'm looking. Let me take a look. Maybe I am wrong. Let me see. Art. Art tag. Where? What? Where's the art? There it is. Let me take a closer look at it. How do I open image? No, I'm pretty sure that's still the AI generated one. There was a whole thing about it on like some time ago, but nothing got really done, which is fucked up. Yeah, it does piss me off that they used to have like this really nice looking picture on the art channel or art tag, but now they have this stupid AI generated thing that takes like everything away from what art is really actually supposed to be, and I just think it's stupid. Oh, hello Repo. You know, technically this color is quite Repo core, so I could make a little Repo. That would be so fun. If I have leftover wool, I might try that. That would be so fun. But hello Repo. I hope you're doing great today. Look at this. This is starting to look like a ball. An orb. It's very soft from this angle though. Take this. I sure love stabbing things. You know what? Felting ain't so bad after all. But I really hope that this doesn't look. Here's the thing. I have 2 more of these kits and I already made one of these, or at least made it half. But I made it so small that I just couldn't make the little mouth. Like the details were just too difficult. So I really hope that this will be a little bit like bigger than the one that I did make earlier, because then I would get the details and it would look nice and everything would be great, and then Bacon's mom would give his son's hand in marriage to me, like offer it. That would be great. Imagine if like Bacon never proposes to me, but Bacon's mom will be like, you can marry Bacon. That would be kind of funny. Wow, this looks, it reminds me of like a fruit pit, you know, doesn't it? Will you take Minnie and her balls in marriage? Oh my god, you actually did stab yourself on the finger. Oh, that's terrible. That's why I don't really like, that's one of the things why I don't really like this craft, is because it's kind of spooky. But doesn't this look like some kind of like fruit pit right now? Like, I mean, it's huge, way too big to be a fruit pit, but it kind of looks like that. Like the holes. That's anyway how it reminds me, or what it reminds me of. Oh, by the way, guess what, guys? Guess what? You'll never guess. You'll never guess. You'll never guess. I'll have to tell you because you're too stupid to ever guess what I'm about to say. Sorry. I shouldn't be so mean to my chat. I shouldn't be. I was about to guess. I shouldn't be so mean. I'm sorry. But now I don't wanna. I'm sorry. That was very cruel of me. That was very cruel of me. You may guess if you'd like. I won't make fun of your guess. I'm gonna make fun. actually gonna make one. I mean, no, I would never. I would never do that. But let me tell you, me and Bacon, we planted. Ow. Okay, that's not. This is not optimal. This is not optimal. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. It's very large, I guess. But me and Bacon, we planted some plants. We planted some cucumber and some cherry tomatoes, and they're growing. And we actually planted them like the other day, not yesterday, but like the day before that. So they're not grown yet, or like they're not even like, there's nothing showing yet, but you know, plants are growers and not showers, as you know. Now this looks just like a ball. It's not really that cat shape, but it's kind of nice. Kind of nice. No chili, can't relate. Oh well. Anyway, cool. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and we did what is it called? Also plant some carrots. But I don't have confidence. No confidence! Have confidence! I don't have confidence in the carrots. I don't believe they're gonna grow into a full carrot. Because right now, I mean, here's the thing. They are in a milk box, which is completely fine. Usually it's completely fine to grow things in milk boxes. But the thing is, if it's gonna be there forever, I don't think it's gonna have a good chance of surviving. At least until adulthood. I don't know. I don't think we'll be able to eat anything, basically. Like, we won't be able to eat a carrot. But I think we will be able to eat a cucumber. And I really hope that the cucumber will be nice. Like, I hope they will be like... Here's the thing, chat. Cucumbers in Finland are very good. And I miss them. I genuinely miss the cucumbers in Finland. I miss them. And I'm stuck here in Sweden with shitty cucumbers. Not even my cat likes them. There are some good cucumbers. They're called snack cucumbers. And both me and Tommy loves them. But the thing is, the normal cucumbers in Sweden kind of suck. They're stupid. They don't taste good. They don't have like... They taste like lettuce. Cucumbers aren't supposed to taste like lettuce. Lettuce is supposed to taste like lettuce. But cucumbers are supposed to be like nice and like you know, like a little, like they're supposed to taste good. I don't know. Like, I don't know. So I'm just really hoping that the cucumbers that we grow will be good, because I'm sick of eating the cucumbers of Sweden. They're not tasty at all. Like, oi, 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 oi. I really need to be like careful with this. I'm gonna like actually stab myself because I get spooked by some random thing. Ooh. That'll be bad. Look at this. This is starting to look like an orb. Yeah. Sigback cucumbers are the best. Not sponsored, by the way. This is my true and honest opinion. Sig back. Cucumber. Very good. Sig back. Very good cucumbers. The spiky ones are good for pickling. What is that emote? What is this emote? What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Rub my belly! What the hell? Sponsored by Big Cucumber. I like to... Oi, oi. I like to imagine that sentence as like, just like, not like, you know how people say big pharma and stuff, but like, just a big cucumber is sponsoring the statement. It's just a big old cucumber. I'd like to imagine that. It's kind of funny. I've only been live for like 40 minutes, but my voice is already starting to go out. That's weird. I mean, it's probably because I don't have the practice, or like I haven't talked a lot in a long while. I should get back to it so I don't get too out of touch. Thank you for the watch streak. I cannot believe that. Wait, also tennis? Huh? Do you like tennis? Where did that come from? What was I gonna say? I forgot. But yeah, my voice is starting to like go away already. It's because I don't really yap a lot. That's me eating a yummy Finnish cucumber. Thank you. I'm living vicariously through that emote. If I had one more stream in my streak, it'd be 11 instead. Ah, yes. Okay, now I understand. So 10-ish, 11-ish, 12-ish. Yeah. Funny. This is a good family-friendly stream. Woohoo! Okay, it's not. That's funny. That's a joke. Oi. Oi. Are you taking this to court? You better not. Don't take proof. Man, this part looks so gross. This part looks gross. It looks like, I don't know. It looks gross. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It just looks weird. I will work on it. Stab, stab, stab. I love stabbing things. So relaxing. I might probably not finish this on stream. It's likely gonna be like something that I get done after stream. Oh wow, this is like really weird now. Hey. Oh, goodness. You know, I've felt weird about sneezing ever since I learned that sneezing fetish is a thing. I found that out recently. Thank you for the bless yous, by the way. But I found this out recently, that some people have a sneezing fetish. And I just, like... I've been feeling uncomfortable to sneeze. Even, like, if no one's watching or, like, no one's in the room or anything, I still just, like, ooh, I really don't want to sneeze. I don't want to sneeze. Nah, not that I even care, but I just like, I don't know, it just made me feel weird because I didn't know about that. I sneeze like my dad. Do you sneeze like really loudly? Because you know what? Bacon sneezes like a dad. It's like sometimes I feel like should I be taking a pregnancy test, because like the way he sneezes is like it's basically a dad sneeze. He basically like shakes the entire apartment when he sneezes. He scares me. Like, straight up, when Bacon sneezes, I get jump scared because it's so damn loud. It's like he's trying to, like, wind up for it. He's like, ah, Joe! Oh yeah, stop that ball. Yeah, I mean, there is a fetish for pretty much everything. Anything and everything, there's probably a fetish for it. Some person might even be into this, what I'm doing right now. At least from the looks of it, it looks like Grimace. Yeah, probably all of chat. All of chat is probably into this. Oi! Oi. I'm gonna try my best to not stab myself with someone nuts. That sounds weird out of context. It looks like a mandarini. I need to make it like oval, kind of. Oh. It kind of just reminds me of a turd. Like a weird turd. I don't know, this is not my strong suit, okay? I'm not like the best at felting. My real talent is in making crochet things. Yeah. But that's how growling started. A big damn sneeze. Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, stab it harder. By definition, a fetish is being aroused by non-sexual things. Well, that makes a lot of sense why it's called a fetish then. Isn't it fun that our teacher just gave us super sharp needles and was like, okay, stab this ball and not your fingers, good luck. Pretty much. I mean, it depends on how old you were. But like, if this is like school, I'm guessing probably not old enough. Because like, it is kind of easy to like, I mean, especially in a school setting, because you'll be talking with your friends and stuff and doing this thing together, and then all of a sudden you stab yourself and it's like terrible. I had a friend that one time actually like sewed. Ooh, it was like a sewing machine incident. You know, they sewed their finger on a thing, and that was terrible. That story haunts me. It haunts me. Like I'm not gonna tell you the details. Yeah, I'm not even telling you the details about this, so be happy, because like the details of this incident haunts me. It haunts me. No, you won't be able to sleep at night. At least I won't be. I will not be responsible for this kind of traumatic thing. I heard about someone who also doing that on cosplay YouTube. Oh man. I mean, I fear that it's probably not that uncommon. Especially if you're like a cosplayer, because then you'll be using the sewing machine like a lot. And, you know, I guess it's just a matter of time before everyone does it. Which is horrifying, if you think about it. You watch surgeries for fun? That's crazy. Is it out of curiosity on how it's performed? I'm kind of curious about how brain stuff is done. Like, I know that there was like some clip of like somebody that like, it wasn't really a clip, it was like a TV show thing. Like somebody was playing like the guitar just so they don't lose their ability to play the guitar while the doctor does something with their brain. I just think it's like interesting. Do they have to shave your hair? Or do they just like kind of raw dog it, you know? Hello, Tony Peppermint. long, 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 meaty. I'm at least very tall right now. Yeah, I suppose so. Hello, Boom. How you doing? Hello, gamer. Hello. I hope you're doing well. I'm stabbing a ball over and over. Look at this. Look at this bean. Looking kind of okay right now. It kind of looks good-ish. There's a YouTube channel called Microneurosurgery or similar that only performs neurosurgery. That's very interesting. I had no idea that you can actually like have that stuff on YouTube. It's kind of crazy. But then again, you know, another thing that is very sad though, this is sad for me, but like probably not for others who are not vegetarian. But I am a vegetarian, fun fact. And I once stumbled across someone like butchering like pigs on YouTube, and it was completely fine content because it's, I guess, educational as well. But it was so horrifying to me because I felt awful. And you know what? You can eat whatever you want to eat. I don't care, but you can't disagree with me that the whole process isn't lovely. And if you do think it's lovely, then you're probably a psycho. Most likely. At least that's how I feel. And by process, I mean like killing the animal. If you think it's like if you think it's lovely, then yes, definitely there's something wrong. I know that, you know, a lot of people, you know, I'm not gonna talk about this a lot because not a lot of, like, most people are not vegetarian. So, you know, most people don't really mind it. It's like, as long as someone... Here's my philosophy. If I'm not willing to go out there and wrestle that pig myself until it's dead, I will not eat it if it's killed by someone else, basically. Like, if I'm not willing to go out there and, like, freaking murder the thing myself, I'm not gonna, like, support the meat industry by actually, like, buying meat and stuff. But, so that's how I think about it, anyway. But a lot of people, I guess, you know, it's mostly, as of how it is right now, mostly people don't really think about it. And that's very valid, by the way. It's fine. Lomo teurasta. Oh god! Oh god. But yeah, not a lot of people think about that kind of stuff, and it's okay as well, because there's a lot more bigger issues to be worrying about than this. And the thing is, you know, it's kind of hard to come to terms with for me, because I used to be vegan, but I used to be like that annoying vegan that would tell you like, how could you do this? How could you do this? But it's like, you know, kind of you have to come to terms with the fact that, you know, people are just trying to live their lives. And not every choice is supposed to be like that conscious or that well thought out. Especially if it's something that's commonly done. It doesn't make it like even if it's commonly done, it doesn't make it fine still. At least in my opinion. My humble opinion. But I don't really care what anyone eats. That's why, you know, I don't mind that bacon isn't a vegetarian, even though I am. But I myself won't be doing that because it's against my personal thought of what's nice, basically. Imagine Minnie marrying a bacon. Mini vegetarian Molly. It's me. Look at this. It's starting to look kind of okay. I said that like last time as well. it's still kind of just a ball, but it's a more tight ball. Anyway, wow, look at it go! Whee! Anyway, there's one thing that I also wanted to talk about. I've been like the things that I do nowadays, because I don't know if you guys know, so let me tell you. A potato! Does kind of look like a little potato, doesn't it? I wanna— oh! Nothing happened! I actually wanted to see this button. You see this button? Isn't it great that I have a button for this? Isn't it great? Who is saying these blasphemous things lettuce tastes like water? What? Blasphemy lettuce. Blasphemous things. Like cucumber? Oh yeah. Cucumber tastes kind of like lettuce here in Sweden. And I'm very sad about it because I like cucumber. Like actual cucumber. Not the Swedish kind. Super great. Makes you look hot. You know, speaking of looking hot, I heard the Finnish Eurovision song of 2026. And it's kind of dumb. I'm sorry to say if you like it. I think the Finnish song for the Eurovision is kind of stupid, because the guy is already a celebrity, so you know. I mean, it's not like you only have to send in celebrities or non-celebrities. I mean, but like the song that they made is like basically like, I mean, it sounds good if you don't know the lyrics, but if you focus on the lyrics, it sounds stupid, because he's saying basically like, ooh baby, you're a flamethrower, you're so hot that I can't put you out because you're a flamethrower. Ooh. I mean, that's probably not very good of a impression of the song. I don't actually remember the melody, but that's why it's kind of shitty, because you can't— oi! Man, I swear one of those nuts is gonna make me stab my finger. but yeah, it sounds stupid. It's kind of unfortunate that I don't even remember the song. And here's the thing, here's the funny thing too. I don't remember, was it 2024 song of Sweden? The one that won over Kärje's song? I just think it's stupid. I do remember the first one that Loreen won with. The Euphoria song. Euphoria. Da 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 da. We're going up. Something like that. But yeah, anyway. Haven't watched since Kärje. Yeah, me neither. But the reason I know why this year's song is stupid is because Bacon asked me if I know what it sounds like, and I got curious. Ooh, you hear that? That's premium scrunch. I just had a horrible idea. Like, because I have super long hair now, I was thinking, like, what if I just like what if I just like like, I don't know why my brain immediately went there. But it went there for some reason. But I wanted to tell you guys about a thing that I listened recently. I think I'm gonna leave this one like this for now. And I'm gonna see if I can make like a little, let's see. Where's the, and maybe I should have looked at the instructions from the beginning. Okay, let's see. Wait. Please compare the size of the 1-to-1 drawing repeatedly during production, such as the finished cat doll. What? What? Oh, okay. If it is too small, then wrap the wool and continue felting it. Oh, was I supposed to, like, start with a small one? Or I sure hope not. Yeah. Make it 1-of-1 and sell it. 1-of-1? What does that mean? Like one of a kind, you mean, or something? Wait, how do I... wait, shred the wool and fold it into a triangular shape, folding it tightly with the needle. 40 gauge star. And deeply folding it on top of the head. Okay, so what you're telling me is I need to, like, actually get it on this thing. Or which way is the, like, it's not even. It looks like, it does look like a potato. Okay, I think this might need a little bit more work than what I initially expected. Also, are there differences between these needles? I have to check now because I thought there was no difference. How would I even know? How would I even know? Because they don't have like any markings or anything and they're all in the same thing. I mean, one of them is longer than the other. I don't know. I don't know. Do these look different to you guys? Eh. Do these look different some way? Okay, chat, which one am I supposed to be using? Okay, chat, you choose. You choose which one. Yep. Nope. You choose. That's the same picture. They're all the same. Okay, chat, which one of these needles should I use for this project? Yes. That one. Thank you. That's so helpful. You know what? I'll take just that one. Okay, I'll just put these here. I mean, it's probably... Wait, one of them look green. I don't know if that's... I don't know if I also felt that. Felt that, you know, because it's a felting stream. I'm sorry. I read feeding stream. and was so confused I almost insta-closed the stream. Oh my god, that's kind of funny. This is a feeding stream. That would be... Wait, did I actually write it correctly? Let me check. Oh, I did. That's cool. I wasn't sure, but whatever. Anyway, one thing that I wanted to talk about with you guys, I forgot if I for free. I forgot if I had anything else, but this is one thing that I wanted to talk about. Only feeding stream on the only feeding stream on Twitch. Hell yeah. I'm special. You know, it looks pretty good from this angle, though this part looks kind of weird. But yeah, I was gonna say, I saw you walked more today. Oh yeah, I did walk more today. I was supposed to actually talk about that as well. So let me actually just get let me actually tell you guys about that first. I have been walking more and I'm very proud of myself. I'm feeding a potato. It's almost like feeding. So that would mean that I'm feeding a tiny little potato. You know, this ain't looking that bad now that I've poked it a million times. It's looking... I don't know if it's supposed to be so, like, dense. Like, it's kind of dense now. But... so here's the thing I actually... Oi, Hopson. I've started to say Hopson, like, legitimately every time I take something or, like, drop something. But anyway... let me show you. Come out. I just want the eye. So here's the issue with what I had last time. Let me actually see if this works. Can I put it in? Come on, get in. It's too dense to go in. Looks so bad. Oh god. You know what? It's okay. This one is gonna be special. Get in there. Get in there. Go in. Go in. Go in. How is it supposed to go in? That's what he said. It's not going. It's not going in. I'm rage quitting this. Oh, the moment I opened Twitch, a client called. Been sitting here watching on mute and dealing with the client. Well, I'm glad you. Oh, I got it. I think. Oh. It's not going in. I'm sorry, I got mad. I'm frustrated. How is it supposed to? How is it like? I haven't even fully like okay. Let's say that we're making this and we're already putting it in, right? It's still not going in. Like, how would it go in? Because it's like, there's nothing. This is stupid. I hate everything. Okay. Okay, we're gonna have to sound this somehow. We're gonna need to sound it. Like the hole needs to be bigger, you know? But this is gonna like break the needle. Can I like use the other end? But no, it's like I can't use the other end because it's like, do I have anything on my table? Hello, Chad. I'm very close to the microphone. Okay, like what do I have? Oh, I have random bolts. Maybe I can actually like maybe I can use this. Come on. Like, it's just gonna be pushed in, you know? This is not working. This is not... It's not working. How are you supposed to do this? Like, in the instructions? Let's see. It says... poke the hole where the eye is to be installed, and then use the felting needle to poke the hole deeply and insert the eye. So they're telling me that I just need to like poke this hole. Okay, we'll see if this works. Poke deeply and insert. Is this good enough? Where did the eye go? Oi. This is an issue. Oh, there it is. It's right underneath the... Oh, how did you know, Raven? That was pretty impressive of you. I barely found it. There we go. The rapid needle action is yikes. I understand. Minnie, could you yell at us in the microphone? I need a new alarm to get out of bed in the morning. Oh boy. Let me think. What would I say? I just spat on myself. Oh my god. I got so surprised I spat on myself. I guess it does work. This is terrible. This is terrible. This is awful. Oh my god, this is terrible. Okay, fine. It's fine. It's fine. You know what? It's fine. Let's just, make another. Also, I'm thinking, what should I yell into the microphone? What should I yell into the... You made an apricot. No. Not the apricot. It's almost like if you follow instructions, the thing you're making turns out like it's supposed to. It's almost like you're supposed to follow instructions. Wow. What does yalla yalla mean? Let's put it. It looked like hamster. Oh my god! Oh my god! It looks exactly... It looks exactly like it's supposed to. Right? Oh god! What have I made? Oh my god. Oh my god. This is not how it's supposed to look like. It's not supposed to look like this. Oh my god. What am I supposed to do with this? It's a terrible... Hey, okay, listen, maybe we can... Like, look at it. It kind of looks like an owl. It has like the little owl shape here. Doesn't it? But we can fix this. We can fix this. With ears. I think this is actually supposed to be the ears, maybe. But yes. We just need to get a little bit of wool and make it into a shape. Make it into this kind of shape. And then we put it there. And hopefully it'll be nice. Like an ear. This is very spooky. It's so close to my hand. It's very scary. But it'll be okay. I will be very careful. Okay. Let's see. Wait, let me scroll up a little. Yalla yalla! Wakey wakey! Wake up! Wake up! Get up! You gotta go to work or school! Wakey wakey, it's time for school! Is that good? I hope. Look at it now. Looks terrible. Oh well, you know, it'll look better soon. I promise, chat. I promise it'll look good in a bit. But I was gonna say, I have been doing more walks. And for those who don't know, I'm trying to do a lot of walks and yoga and stuff to get better. And by better, I mean like... By better, I mean like more energy and stuff. Because I probably have some kind of muscle atrophy. Thing is, I'm not sure though, because like this is like how would I like tell you about this in like, it's like, I mean, I've always felt tired, but it's always been you have depression, you don't have energy because you have depression. But now I am getting depressed because I don't have the energy. And I've never had the energy, so I'm just like, is it just me having like muscle atrophy because I haven't been active in many years, or is there actually something wrong? Because it's very hard to find out when I don't really like how do I, like, every time I go to a doctor, they're like, oh yeah, it's, let's see, we'll take blood tests, and then the blood tests turn out completely fine, or then I will have some kind of vitamin deficiency. Like currently, I have a vitamin D deficiency. Ooh. Oh, we're gonna get that D, if you know what I mean. Okay, I'm sorry. But, don't even go there. Well, look at this. It kind of looks more like an owl now. I don't know why. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's always vitamin D or some other vitamin. Last time it was vitamin B. Vitamin B deficiency. So, I guess I'm just not eating good enough. Like, I'm not eating food that is nutritious enough or something. Just call it a Pokemon and be done with it. I mean, pretty much. If it's a Pokemon, it can look like anything. And that's a plus, that's a bonus. But yeah, I'm just like confused about what's wrong with me, and it's always like some kind of vitamin deficiency. But I'm pretty sure, like, because here's the thing, I've definitely had some, like, there's definitely something wrong, but it's just like hard to communicate to the doctors because they don't just trust me, bro. Like, even though it is, I mean, obviously it has to be the fact that I have a deficiency in any kind of vitamin. Yes, that is definitely a contribution, but I just don't think that's everything, you know? I just don't think that's everything. Because, like, who is tired all their life? Like, who, like, how would that even, you know, work? You take iron, right? Yeah, I do. I am eating Thiamine. Brain for thiamine. It's a synthetic B1 vitamin that gets into all your cells and energizes them. Maybe I need energizing thing that make energy appear. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. You know, making a ball was very simple. Making a ear is looking kind of bad. It looks kind of bad. But maybe it'll be good in a bit if I just keep poking at it. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. It'll look good in time. In time, everything will be okay. Trust me, chat. Everything is gonna be okay. Take it from me. Minimali. That is me. I am Minimali. In case you forgot. You know how it is. I think you're doing well. Thank you! I mean, I have had more energy than I have in years. Literal years. But it's still not enough. That's what, that's one thing that messes me up every time. I have gotten so much better, but it's still not enough. It's quite depressing, if you think about it. Like, oh, this ties into the thing that I wanted to talk about as well. I watched this video about Houseki no Kuni. If you don't know what that is, it's the Land of the Lustrous, I think, in English. But basically it's about like these gem things. But there's hidden meanings behind everything, and like it explores the topic of a person who wants to feel like they are enough. But no matter what they do, they're never gonna feel like they're enough. Because, so it's hard to like talk about this. It's hard to explain it like without watching the video. But there's a character in Land of the Lustrous who is the weakest character of everyone. And she is struggling with the fact that she is weak, and there's nothing she can do to actually get stronger other than like literally change her body. This stuff is based on like gem strengths and stuff, but there's nothing this person can do to get better, and there's nothing that they can, like, they have to, this character feels like to be enough they will have to be useful, even though that's like kind of a more of a societal thing if you think about it. The character does not feel like they are enough, so they do everything and try to feel better, and eventually they actually get a little bit better, but by doing that they lose a part of themselves. But the thing is, they'll never be happy because they'll never be good enough as they are. It's hard to explain, but it just feels kind of similar in a way, the things that I'm feeling. Sometimes I feel like I'm a burden to everyone because I'm sick and I can't do much. But it's like, it's hard to feel like you're enough when you can't do anything, right? But sadly, if you feel that way, you can either get better, you can improve yourself, be of use, or accept that your worth is not how others feel about you. Your worth is not determined by, like, how others think about you. But then again, you yourself decide your worth in the way that, you know, how would I, like, I'm practically talking out my ass right now, but who is the one that determines your worth? It should be yourself. And, you know, oftentimes we tend to give ourselves a very low worth because of, you know, and the way that you give yourself worth is like the stuff you put up with, the way you treat yourself, all this stuff, you know. And that's basically how your worth is. But if you don't, it's just hard, because sometimes, you know, if you have like an illness or something, there's not really much you can do. Huh? How long are you? Hi, I'm live and I want to raid you. How long are you continuing? Well, this cat isn't done. Maybe like another hour or something. Oh god, it looks terrible. Oh god. Oh god. Thank you so much for wanting to raid me. I appreciate it. Oh god, it looks terrible. It doesn't even have like a... Oh my god. It does look like an owl. It has like this shape. It's very owl-like. Very owl-like shape. At least I got this one looking like a cat ear though. Let me scroll up a little bit to see what everyone's been saying. Well, that means that there's something is working. Keep at it. Yeah. If you have, I have been exercising for 2 years now, and I feel like I have improved my health a lot just from daily walking. Yeah, I'm gonna do that too. Good enough for whom? And all you need to feel is good enough for yourself. You're doing all you can, and you're on the right path. You're working on it. Everyone here adores you. That goes for me, I suppose. You achieved a lot in your life, and much more will come. That's very wholesome. But yeah, it should be yourself. It's your own journey. Everyone has different paces at which they reach their goals. There's no way of doing that, and no one can tell you you're doing anything wrong. Yeah. Also, hello, Otter. You thought it was an owl? Oh my god, I can't believe this. I mean, it's supposed to be a cat. Oh god! Welcome! Welcome, Mai! I am so surprised. Oh my goodness, I am surprised. Hello, Mai. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for the raid. Let me give you a shout out. Shout out. Oh no, there's an ad break coming. I'm gonna snooze that. How do I...
The Needlefelt, so very cute.
Shout out? Oh, somebody did it before I could do it. Damn it. Dang it! Freaking freak. It's supposed to be a cat. Look. This is what I'm making. It looks similar, right? Don't mind me, I just got a little excited. I'm so glad you think it's cute. Oh my goodness. But what were you up to, Mai? Ooh, Mai, I want to show you some things. I want to show you my little guys. I have a bunch of little guys here. I have this. It's a little crocodile. It's sitting. Just like I am sitting. It's very cute. Very cute. And then I have this little duck. I have this tiny little duck. It's so tiny! Isn't it cute? So tiny. and then I have this one. This one is called Pee-Pee. This one is called the Pee-Pee. It's very cute. I like it. Though it's probably committed multiple war crimes. Wasn't that the oily Pee-Pee? I'm not sure. But this is a Pee-Pee. I really like this Pee-Pee. It's very cool. It just kind of sits there. I got it with my Pee-Pee hoodie. It's very nice. Pee-Pee! There's an oil Pee-Pee. There's a lot of different Pee-Pees. I actually have another little guy here. This is a little mouse I got from a convention. I don't remember. I think it was Dokumi actually. Oh my god, it has so much cat hair on it. But those are my little... Oh my god, I haven't showed anyone this. I can't believe I haven't showed this to anyone yet. But this is... I got a plushie of my cat. I got... This is my cat. This is Tommy. It's like well, it's a picture of him, like, so there was like a table here, and he was like, it's like taken from above, so like they cut out the table. They cut out the table and they just gave me like this two-legged creature. I really, yeah, it does look like a travel neck cushion, doesn't it? But yeah, it's pretty cool. I really do like it. It's quite fun. Oh, you're so nice to me, Mai. I appreciate you. You're such a nice you. Oh, and I haven't actually... These have been on my table, but I haven't showed them off much. But check out this. I don't remember exactly which one is which, but I got these from... or well, Bacon got them as gifts. We have this creator, Preexune. This is their... You can find their thingy if you want. Yes, I also got this. I love this one. It's Babblejack. It's Babblejack with it's the autism creature Babblejack. I love Babblejack. Yes, then we have AME cyberspace. But yeah, these were gifts, so I don't know which one is which's. And then we have Demi Witchers. I'm not actually sure which one is which person's, but those are some cool artists if you guys want to follow them. But yeah, I forgot what I was even talking about. Wow. Oh well. I can't believe this is like... I really hope this looks better in the end. Cause it doesn't really look like a cat so far. Oh god. It's very spooky. Yeah, trust the process, you're right. I just gotta trust the process. Also, feel free to... Oh god! Oh god! Oh goodness. Thank you so much for the raid. I was just about to say to Mai that if you're tired after your stream, feel free to, you know, go take care of yourself and everything. That goes for you too, Neddings. Welcome and thank you so much for the raid. I hope you had fun. Needlefeld usually looks odd until towards the end, right? I'm sure it'll look great. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm just like, I'm being very careful not to poke myself. I was about to grab a drink, so good timing. Yeah, I hope you had a fun stream. I hope you had a fun stream. I think, what was I gonna say? I'm so glad that Mai likes My Little Pony, by the way. I remember, you know, I don't know if you guys remember, but oi, what is happening? What happened? Oh, thank you.
You know this amazing mouse for how long?
That's a lot of months. I'm making a little cat. It's supposed to not look like this so far. Looks pretty much the same, right? Right? It's practically the same thing. Looks like a little bean. But what was I gonna say? Something about, oh yeah, my had like a My Little Pony karaoke stream at one point. I remember that stream very fondly. It was great. I like My Little Pony. They're nice. They're so cozy and comforting characters. The new show though is stupid and stinky and stupid because it's 3D and I don't like it. I have no doubt that Mai is a brownie. Oh, I forgot that. Oh, brownie. Oh no, that's a different thing. That's a food. Brownie is a soft and tasty. Oh yeah. Mai is probably soft and tasty. But don't tell her I said that. Anyway, oh man, I would love to have some kind of tasty little treat though. It's been a while since I had a tasty little treat. And I must say I'm a fan of tasty little treats. Are you guys fans of tasty little treats as well? And if so, what kind of tasty little treats? You know, this other ear is starting to kind of look like a bear ear. But I'm gonna remedy it. Yeah, brownie. Oh yes, it's a brownie. I don't know where the nickname came from actually. I don't know where it came from. That's that. You know, it's kind of funny that up until a certain age you just like a show, and then all of a sudden once you're too old to like it, you become something called a brownie. Isn't that funny? It's kind of weird, or whatever. It's not like the name matters really. At least not to me. I wish I had a tasty little treat. Oh wait, I do. You have some coconut cookies with jam in the middle? Oh. Oh, bro plus pony is brony. Oh, okay. I see. The Dutch converted me to stroop waffles as treats. That is really nice. I had like those. Apparently stroop waffles are really good if they're like warm and stuff. So I've been meaning to heat one up or something and eat it. But I do have some like stroop waffles that are not heated though. They're just normal right now. Man, this looks like a, I mean, it's kind of starting to look a little bit pointy. Hopefully I can get it a bit pointier. I just like how it looks. It looks so goofy. It looks so goofy. Oh. Oh god. Oh well, it'll all be fine. eventually. But yeah, I did I remember to show this? I actually saw the movie with the dudes. The movie. Demon Slayer movie. The latest one, I mean. I finally saw it. I don't remember when exactly it was, but I did see the latest movie. I don't know if anyone remembers, but there was a whole debacle that I really wanted to see the Demon Slayer movie, the new one, in Sweden, but all of the, like, it was either in Japanese with Swedish subtitles, or then it was in Swedish and oh wait, no, it was in English subtitles if you drove to the cinema in the next city, which I can't really do. I can't really do that. I can't really do that. So I waited until somebody got it very legally. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! It was legal! Ha ha! But I did eventually see it, and I'm very happy I finally saw it. Because I thought it was cool. I thought it was pretty cool. It was legal! Speaking of legal things, Bacon taught me how to acquire things legally. Legally. Yes. Ha ha ha! Oh god. I'm not being very subtle, am I? How very nice of him! I know, right? I know, right? Wow, this it kind of looks like a cat. It does look like a cat, but it has like a very tiny butt now. Like, it has a very, very tiny butt. Like, maybe I should, like, I still have some of this, so maybe I should give it a bigger butt. I think I will take just a little bit. I'm afraid that I won't have enough for like the arms and legs, so I'm not gonna take too much. Just a little bit. Give this cat a Brazilian butt lift. Oh yeah. Look at that. Yeah, that would be much better. A Brazilian butt lift. Oh man. How would this work? I don't. Would I like do like this or? I guess I'm just like kind of. This feels weird to do it like this, but I guess I'll just do this. It really needs to like merge in with it. I really hope it doesn't show up. Like, imagine if it just looks like a diaper. I really hope not. Stab, stab! Felting is such a cozy hobby! Such a cozy hobby. I am feeling so incredibly relaxed right now. Ah, take this! Take this, you adorable cat. Cozy, cozy. Cozy! So cozy! Wait, Brazilian butt lift has a mortality rate of 1 in 3,000. Oh! So no actual plastic surgeon will perform such a surgery anymore. Damn! That's a pretty high mortality rate. Dang. Interesting. I had no idea. Look at this cat. It has a dumpy now. we're gonna make sure it looks great. I mean, if you were to do it like I would, like this, then I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. It's kind of nice to have a bigger target now to poke at, because I'm not as worried about my fingies getting poked, which is nice. I would not like if my fingers got poked. Hairy butt. Yeah. Oh, I haven't showed you guys, but I have a pretty cool shirt. I will only show the shirt pattern. It says girls will be girls, and then it has a bunch of witches. Check it out. Has a bunch of witches and stuff on it. Ain't that a cool shirt? Girls will be girls. I think it's a great shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts. Wait, my ball looks exactly the same. This one? Yeah. Stab, stab, stab. Thank you, Mai, by the way. You're so nice. I kind of miss you. I kind of miss everyone. It's been too long since I last visited a con in Finland and stuff. I miss Finland a little bit. Just a little. Just a little bit. I hope you will eat all the cucumbers for me, because they don't have good cucumbers in Sweden, sadly. They don't have good cucumbers. You know what is good in Sweden though? You wanna know what is good in Sweden? One thing that's incredible in Sweden is the fact that we have like the, how would I explain, like bank ID and stuff, like digital identification or whatever is very good here. It's very convenient as opposed to the stuff that we have in Finland, because you just have to look, it kind of looks like a pair of butt cheeks now. But yeah, it's pretty good in Sweden. Illegitimation. Legitimation. I said that perfectly. I said that perfectly. Don't even say anything if you think I didn't. Because I said that perfectly. I had a good cucumber in Sweden today. Oh really? Where did you buy it? Was it Ica? If it was Ica, I do not believe you. You have a skewed sense of what is a good cucumber. Because I just really miss Finnish cucumbers. Those are like one of the only things, one of the rare few things that I do miss. I mean, a lot of my friends and stuff and all these people that I met. I never thought that I would actually miss the people in Finland. I guess because I always knew that I was gonna see them again sometime soon. Like Repo. I thought, you know, I never really had the chance to miss all these people, because I thought, you know, I'm gonna be back any day in a Finnish convention or something, and then we'll see each other again. But now I'm in Sweden and I don't really have the money to travel to Finland for conventions and stuff. So I just never get to see them ever again. Ever again. Never ever. Okay, that's a bit dramatic, but still. Still, pretty much. Stab, stab, stab. You know, this looks pretty good now, but there's like a line here. You know? You can definitely see like a little line here. Maybe I will put like a thin layer of wool just so it doesn't look so obvious. Stop the line! Gah! Okay, that's just making it more pronounced. Wait, so it goes away. Or maybe I can put some more. Oh, I can see little legs. Oh, I gotta do this. One moment. Oh yeah. Oh, that feels good. I still have kind of wet hair. I took a bath earlier. That was like hours ago though. Oh, maybe my hair is just like greasy or something. Oh, you mean... Oh, these are not legs. These are... Oh god! Oh, goodness. These are ears. I know. Just the way that... I just look at it. I don't know how I feel about it. It looks kind of funny. But it's okay. We'll fix it up in just a second. I'm just trying to make this ear more sharp, I guess. Because right now it doesn't look very... It looks like a bear ear more than a cat ear. I'm trying very hard to not get my fingers stabbed. The owl is trying to run away! No! Do not run away. Just because I'm stabbing you a bunch of times. I've been reading some comics lately. Recently I've gotten addicted to this one. I think, is it? No, I don't know. I think it's just a... Wait, is it a manga? I'm not sure. I feel like it might be a manga because it has like a... Or is it a manhwa? I don't know, but some type of comic basically. And it's called The Unstoppable... I have to look it up again because I'm not sure. How do you pronounce this name actually? Let's see. It's called... Wait, so Unstoppable Hayeong. I don't know how to pronounce Korean names. They're very hard to pronounce. Oh, maybe it is a manhwa. Because it's Korean, I think. I'm not sure. Either way, it's very addictive to read. But so far the quality has gone down, which is sad. Stop. Manga, anime, Barack Obama. I'm happy that you're feeling better and happier after moving to Sweden. There is always the internet. That is true. That is true. Unstoppable what? It's written... Oh wait, I forgot how it's written. Unstoppable Hayeong. Unstoppable Hayeong. That's the name of it anyway. But it's like there's like a school bully and then there's like a strong karate kid and the karate kid protects the girl that gets bullied and it's very wholesome. And I just like it. So if anyone is interested in that kind of thing, feel free to read it. Pretty good. There's another one. This one I can't say it's a comic because, you know, I suppose it's more Western or something. But oh, but I forgot the name of it. What is the name? I have to like open my phone and look at it. Let's see. I will find out in 1 sec. No, I don't. We value your privacy. You value this fucking ass, bitch. What is this? I don't want any coins. Oh yes, Marionetta. It's called Marionetta. It's very interesting. This one is a comic, but it's a very well-drawn comic. It's very beautiful. And it's about a girl that gets stuck in a circus. I won't tell you anything else about it. Oh, my stream deck went to sleep. Good night. Sleep well. We value your privacy. That's why they want to own it. Truly. It didn't break. You can still... I can wake him up. Boop. There you go. I have these things that I could like these are different things I could make my character sit. Fancy. These are my buttons for that. And then I have a microphone. I even have a thing that switches my model, and this one mutes my microphone. These ones are like, they don't even function anymore. They're for something else. Oh wait, what do these do actually? I don't think they do anything. Yeah, no, they don't do anything right now. These ones changed the view of the camera, and I'm not gonna do that because it's gonna be a pain in the ass to fix, basically. Also, this is what I typed out. You're welcome. I have my like hotkeys with like oh wow, that looks, it's starting to look way too small in comparison. This ear. Goodness. Money vision. Now this ear looks a little bit... I mean, it's kind of... Now I feel like this ear looks better than this ear, but like it still looks kind of not pointy enough. Looks like an owl. No! It's supposed to look like a little kitty cat. Maybe I will make the legs next. The Brazilian butt lift at least was a success. I gave my cat a Brazilian butt lift. Take that out of context. Oh god. That's terrible. That's terrible. You know, there is some awful things out there. Awful people who do awful things. You know, one thing that is fine though is like temporary tattoos on like naked cats and stuff. But like some people, some evil people have given like naked cats and dogs like actual tattoos, which is like beyond evil. That's freaking evil. Multi-evil. Evil to the power of 2. Not even just 2, but yeah, pretty much evil. Now make little butt cheeks! Oh my god, that would be perfect. That would be kind of funny though. Stab, stab, stab. Evil. It is, it is. I don't get how that kind of stuff can be like even done. It's very fucked up. Very. Would you ever get a shaved cat? You know, my sister has a naked cat. A shaved cat? You know, if you mean a shaved cat, like a... Well, this shape is kind of funny. Look at that. From this angle, it looks like a cat. But yeah, my sister has a naked cat, hairless cat. And yeah, they are a lot to take care of. Did you guys know? You have to give bath to your cat. If you have a naked cat, you have to give them baths and stuff. Oh no, don't look at this, the QR code. Not that anyone would. Okay, well the next step is to make the mouth. So we're just gonna take like these. It's hard to like separate it. It's about the same amount for these. Kind of. Good enough. But now we make 2 little balls. Maybe I can fast forward this to like this. Do you need to oil them? No, you need to. So naked cats, they get oily because, you know, they're kind of like humans. They have you know, they're naked, so they get like oily, greasy skin. So you have to give them baths. They like me. Yeah. Okay, this is very... How am I supposed to make this like... oily and naked? Are you oily and naked right now? That's concerning. That is very concerning. For some reason I'm getting a headache. That's not very good. It's very hard to make a tiny ball. Might be. Is your posture good? Yes, yes. I swear it's good. Wait, can bad posture make head hurt? Is that a thing? I think it might be just that I need to drink more water. I'm scared to stab this. Hydrate. But I can't get up because I don't have any pants on. Oh yeah, there's probably a bunch of new people who didn't know that. I don't have any pants on. Cause, I mean, I'm in my house. This is my house. You're in my house. Get out of my house. What are you doing in my house? Oh god. Oh god, there's a bunch of random people here. Oh lord. Get out of here. It's okay. I will close my eyes. Okay, that makes it better. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone's just gonna have to close their eyes and then I will go get water. Bacon is actually working on a game. He is nowhere to be seen. He went off into the sunset with his friends, and they're making a game. Yeah. Rip. It's very sad. This for me. This looks way too big, you know. It is becoming a tiny little ball, but it looks way too big. But maybe I can make it smaller. If if I just keep poking it. Very hard to make a ball this tiny, you know? I feel like this really isn't a beginner project, but whatever. Bacon's mom believes in me, so I must do my best. For those who don't know, this kit was given to me by my boyfriend's mom, so my mother-in-law basically. I mean, we're not married, but you know, basically, pretty much. Stab, stab. It do be hard to have small balls, I know, right? Also, I'm getting like, because I'm resting my arm here, I'm getting like this freaking thing. Owie! Owie! My poor arm! Ow! Ow! Ah! Table line. Maybe I need to like... Oh, I have this, this is my microphone. Wait. I can't get it to the... Oi! 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 Oi, goodness. Goodness gracious. Goodness. Hi Minnie, long time no raid. Oh, that's so wholesome. Hello Teddy. How are you? How are you doing? And thank you for the raid. I'm making a little cat. This is a cat that I'm making. Teddy, did you by any chance ever happen to see this one animal I may have named Teddy when I was playing my voice zoo? Oh, oops. You didn't happen to see that, did you? Let me give you a shout out. Wait, I'm not Daddy. Ura. Does this work? There we go. I haven't. So I was trying to make a realistic bear sound. But because there was a polar bear, you know, obviously I had to name the polar bear Teddy after you. But the realistic bear sound sounds very bad. Let's just say that. I can send you the link to the VOD after I'm done with this kitty. But yeah. Now I need to hear it. Oh god. Yeah, it was I tried my best to make a realistic bear sound. And you know, bears, they kind of like go like, you know, like you know, like, you know. You know, like, you know. I'm giving Uyo Junti energy, if you know. How would I even translate that? It's very difficult to have tiny balls, but here we have a tiny ball. It's so tiny! It's still too big though, can you believe it? But now we are making another tiny ball. Can you crush the ball? the whole table shook. Oi oi! For free? You're welcome. You're welcome. Just for you, Longero, I would crush your balls. Should I do, someday I should do a meet and greet with ball crushing. Oh, by the way, sorry, I got ahead of myself. What were you up to, Teddy? I hope it was fun. And also, If you're tired, feel free to rest. Needle thing. I used to do it as a kid. Oh yeah. I tried this when I was younger as well, but I didn't really like it. But this kit was a gift from my boyfriend's mom, so I have to make it, and I have to make it good. If this doesn't look good, she'll probably disapprove of our relationship, and she'll ask me to like stop seeing bacon and stuff. Probably. She'll be so disappointed. She'll be like, please never see my son again. Oh god. What part of the cats are those things? It's the mouse! It's the mouse! What were you thinking? Oh my god. Everything is in line with this cat. Yeah, everything is on the line. Castlevania Symphony of the Night, to be exact. Honestly, 10 out of 10 game. And we finished it today. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, GG for finishing the game. I will have to take a look at it, since it has official Teddy stamp of approval of 10 out of 10. Would game again. Even though Teddy did not say that she would play it again. But, you know. Oh well, putting words in your mouth, that's okay, right? It's very difficult to make. Oh goodness. I'm really trying to not get spooked by those. Maybe if I just make it into a flat little pancake first. Cause like, it would be easy to make a pancake, right? But it's difficult when the pancake has to be 3-dimensional. That doesn't make any sense. Hello, ambient Adam. It's nice to see you. I heard that you want to apparently eat me, Minnie. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Oh, I actually made a character in my voice zoo named after you too, my I'm sure I heard that you actually played the game as well, so I'm sure you can guess which character it was. Or which animal. I mean, that's probably not too hard to guess. It's nice to hear from you. Thank you. I've been meaning to go live for a while. Bunny, maybe? Yeah. Oh my god, Mai, how did you know? You're so cool and smart. And you got it on the first try. Wow. Incredible. Celebrate Easter by eating the Choco Bunny. You know what? Oh, I wish I had a Mingnon Muna. How do you even say it in Finnish? Mingnon Muna. Mingnon egg. I want the egg of nougat. It's very tasty, and I want to eat it. But they don't sell them in Sweden. It's stupid. For those who don't know, the mignon egg is basically a real chicken egg shell. Like, they take the shell of a chicken egg and they empty the egg out of it, and then they fill it with solid chocolate nougat. And it's very tasty. I don't know how this is gonna like work. Oh, Oh, I don't know if this is gonna look how it's supposed to. Oh, I don't know about this, chat. Maybe this needs more work. Or maybe, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. What could be the worst? It can't look that bad, right? That's what I want to think and believe. It won't be that bad. Oi! There's a cat on my footrest. There's a cat on my footrest. Oh dear. I don't know if I can do this with a cat on my lap though. So if he wants to what are you doing? He's sniffing my foot. Funny kitty. I actually, instead of making a bunny noise, I did a my impression. Because I don't really know what bunnies sound like. Don't they just kind of like make a sniffing, like a oh goodness, Bacon's home, I think. Hello, Bacon.
Hello.
Welcome home. How was the game making? I'm making a cat. Oh, thank you. Wow, you're cold.
I am. I walked home.
Aw.
Yeah.
I'm streaming without any pants on.
That's cool. What if they did like a little?
Don't test fate. Oh dear. I know you wouldn't have, but that's kind of funny. extra viewers, right?
Everything for the content.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt. I mean, if there actually was someone at one point that straight up just had sex on stream.
Oh,
so
yeah, it
so
was, like,
maybe
cropped, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was just like cropped, pretty much.
She was like hanging over her desk or something, and then it was cropped right before her ass.
Yeah, and I mean, she didn't get permabanned, so
Yeah, no,
surely.
she only got. Didn't she get like just a 48-hour ban?
Yeah, pretty much. So, you know, just because I'm streaming without any pants, I'm sure it will be fine. Bacon knows us so well.
Yeah. Oh, I have to tell you, we finally got the game to run on the server with the new game mode and everything.
Do you want to tell about the game stuff?
I mean, yeah, but do you want me to tell something specific?
Like what kind of game are you making?
Oh, we're making a asynchronous online auto battler game for the mobile and PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what an auto battler is that you basically put out your units, like your
Check his balls out.
You put out your units onto a field, and then the other player does the same, and then basically the game plays out, like they basically simulate out the whole game, and then yeah, it goes, yeah. And the thing with asynchronous basically means that it's not always online. You can also play it offline. And what you will do is you will basically go against snapshots of other players that have been playing with basically similar stats that you have right now. So it will be both online and yeah, all of that. But yeah, that's mobile, both mobile and PC. So we're gonna release the game with the asynchronous mode, And then later down the line, we're gonna do a online PvP version of it as well. The fun fact is, we actually started with the online PvP version, but then we quickly realized that, oh shit, well, if we release a game that is, you know, it needs players.
If we release it like that, then it's it's gonna go bad.
Yeah.
What is that sound? Oh, I think it's just the music. Never mind.
Oh.
Also, I don't know what I did, but I jumped through all the hoops needed for the redeem, but it still did not work, and I don't know why.
Oh, have you refreshed the...
Oh, right. Of course.
To refresh the web thing.
I forgot. That's the only thingy I did not jump through. Only hoop I did not jump through. Okay, let's see if it works. Michael reaction. Does it work? Okay, it does, but it is behind me.
Your fat butt is covering it.
No.
Can you add Lonkero there as an Easter egg?
Oi. There we go. You're welcome, everyone.
What is a Lonkero?
Longero is Longero.
Oh, I thought it meant something in...
Grim _ Reaper 0 said
taking... Wow. And
I think it was queued after the Yap TTS. I don't think the Yap TTS is unlocked in Mix It Up.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean Longero is like a tentacle basically.
Oh. We do have tentacle people, like fish
cool.
people. We have 3 different factions. We have humans, we have aquatic, basically like marine life. And then we have robotics.
I was gonna make art for this game, but
I mean, you're still welcome to contribute if you want to.
Yeah, I got sick and I'm trying to get better.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I gave the sushi and I gave the egg. They were really happy with the egg, and then Tor, he said, I want the other egg.
Oh my god, that's so wholesome.
Yes. So I gave them all away. I'm sorry.
So, let me tell you guys what this mean.
I'm gonna go piss.
Take this. Have a good piss.
Thank you.
So basically, I like to make these little crochet things. Ooh. By the way, did you guys know I have like hyper mobility in my arms? Like, oi. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? I have hyper mobility. Wow! You're not supposed to do that. Anyway, anyway, what I was saying is, freak! Oh, don't call me a freak! I swear it's normal. First steps to Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I have no idea what that is, but I am certainly going to Google it later out of fear. but I made Kaisa a little sushi, and then I thought, cause Kaisa's boyfriend is working on the game as well, and Bacon was gonna go to the game place and the studio, and then I said, can you please give Kaisa, can you give this sushi to Max so he can give it to Kaisa? And then I thought, oh my god, how can I ask such a thing? And then I thought, for the trouble, what if I have a little egg that I give to Kaiser's boyfriend, and then they will be happy to give the sushi, because then they will have something as well. This is one of the eggs.
Oi.
Oi oi. This is one of the little eggs that I've made. It's a little keychain.
Do you want the others?
Sure. I can show everyone what I've been making. These little eggs. These things, it's so crazy how much joy these things bring people. It makes me so happy. I like these mushrooms because they're like fidget toys pretty much. What are you doing? Oh, okay.
Covering you up, you slut.
Excuse me! I'm in my own home. These people came in here. I'm just in my home.
Of course they came. You were naked.
Oh my. but I make these things and I have like this. I like these balls. They're very satisfying. They're not filled with anything, these balls. Empty balls. Anyway, they're not filled with anything but the yarn, which makes it kind of satisfying to make. But yeah, I make these little keychains and then I give them to all kinds of people because it makes me happy. I used to sell them, but nobody buys them, so I rather just give them to people and have them be happy about it. It makes me so happy when people are happy.
You should tell them about the time when we went to buy sandwiches at the restaurant.
Yeah, sure. I mean, my school's cafeteria has like a little, like my school has a cafeteria, but they also have like a little store where you can buy sandwiches. But we
there's a canteen.
Yeah.
And then there's a cafe.
Yeah.
Like an actual cafe.
Yeah, but they had on that day the cafe was closed.
Yeah.
So we went to the canteen. And it was like there was no one there. Like as in like no customers or anything. What are you doing? Are you feeding them?
boys.
Already? Interesting.
What do you mean already? It's 11.
Oh, I didn't even notice the time. Whoops. Not that, I mean, the feeding time is in like 5 minutes though. Oh well. Pookie is doing it for me. Such a kind Pookie. But yeah, we went to the cafeteria and I just, you know, thought that I would give one of these to like the person working there. And she was so happy to get it. It made me super happy. She was so happy. And then like a bunch of the other workers in there started like gathering around. And I actually happened to have more of these keychains in my pocket. So I was like, you get a keychain! You get a keychain! Everyone gets a keychain! And then there was one lady that said something in Swedish, but she basically said, oh, do you have another strawberry? Because was it her like granddaughter or
her
niece?
niece.
Her niece did she just like strawberries? I don't know, but she calls strawberries guppe guppe because in Swedish a strawberry is jordgubbe. But
which is a dirt. What is it? A dirt guy.
Yeah, dirt.
Jord is dirt or earth. Gubbe is an endearing way of saying old man.
But this niece apparently just says gubbe gubbe.
Gubbe gubbe. So it's kind of like saying strawberry, just saying berry berry.
Yeah. So I gave another strawberry that I happened to have to her, and she was so happy about it, and it made me really happy. It was very, very wholesome. It just makes me happy when people like the things that I make. Makes me happy. I mean, who wouldn't be happy? I am actually kind of getting a headache though.
Is that because I I came home?
No, I've been having a headache before you came in.
That's what I remember. I was gonna steal some paracetamol from the studio.
Office.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to hydrate. Can you give me water?
Okay.
Thank you. Strawberries are known as earthberries or something similar in many languages. Same with Sweden. In Finnish, strawberry is just mansikka. Mansikka. I don't think that means anything other than just strawberry. It's not even strawberry, it's like its own word. I am not happy. Where is my gubbe gubbe? Oh, I'm so sorry. You haven't come across me in person. This looks so dumb. Look at this thing. Look at this creature.
Here you go.
Thank you. Let me take a sip. This is my Stanley cup. Water. It has like a way bigger head, you know? It has a way bigger head. It has like a massive forehead. Oh well. What is this?
Gingerbread cookie.
Oh, cool.
It's the minty one. Candy cane. It's the candy cane one.
Yum yum.
Nom,
Tasty.
nom.
I think I'm going to add a nose. With pink of this. Follow Minnie on also follow Minnie also on other social media. And it tags minima.ly, which hasn't worked for like months now. I've been meaning to get to that, but to get to that I need bacon to get to it first.
It's already set up. I need your help from the card thing.
Yeah, and I need your help as well.
You literally have to log in and then click domain. And then send me the values that are there.
Okay, well, thank you.
That's super
Now I know.
I told you this before.
Well, do you think I have the memory for this kind of thing?
No.
Yeah. I'm bad at memorizing anything. Anything and everything. I will not remember. You know, earlier today, I was actually watching an old stream of mine because out of curiosity, I looked at all the videos on which anyone had made a comment.
Can I make both of these packages?
Sure.
But let me know when you're done with them.
It'll be a little bit. Sivustoon ei saada yhteyttä. Very unfortunate. You will be able to access the thing some point. At an undisclosed point of time, you will be able to see it again. It is kind of unfortunate because everything I have is there, and I also need it for a school assignment. By the way, I'm dropping out of school. Maybe I should have mentioned something about that. By the way, I'm dropping out, everyone. It's just that the school can't give me what I need. And, you know, I've gotten burned out. But the last time I got burned out was a little bit, like, way worse. And I don't want to have that ever again. Because there was a time I'm sure I've told you guys about this already, but there was one time that I woke up and I had no energy to do anything. Like I straight up, like the only thing I did was I got up and I went on the couch and I cried. And that's all the energy I had. And I was so sad because, you know, that's just what burnout does, I guess. Makes you not have any energy and like you just try your hard until you can't do anything anymore. And it's awful. So I don't want to experience that again. So I'm dropping out. My plan is... By the way, I found out that I am considered to be disabled. Which is funny because I don't consider myself to be disabled. I mean, in a way... In a way, I guess it is. In Sweden, being autistic is considered a disability. I don't know how I feel. I mean, it does make a lot of things harder, but it's also like, would I really consider it a disability? I mean, I guess. But like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to think about, you know? Good afternoon. We are poking things with a needle. and by we, you didn't know that I'm autistic? I'm autistic as fuck. Yeah. I mean... Tism gang, let's go. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, in a way, I feel like the fact that autism is more of a disability than ADHD just doesn't kind of compute for me, because me being autistic is kind of like, it doesn't really affect me that much. I mean, okay, it does. Now that I think about it, but it's like, it's not a lot of like negative things. Like, it's just like, for me, autism is like mostly like being overwhelmed by things. Okay, well maybe that does make things a lot harder. But ADHD, I feel like, is like debilitating, fucking like hyper focusing on something specific and then forgetting to eat and all this stuff. That's like way worse than being overwhelmed at things and textures and stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't want you any other way. I'm glad. I'm glad. I just love that this is a discovery for Lonkero. I just love that this is a discovery. But anyway, this does open up doors for me, though, this being considered a disability here, because oh, they gave you an ADD diagnosis. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that you got an official diagnosis. I know, like, for me, the diagnosis made me feel so much better, because, you know, if you just think that, like, if there's just, like, it's hard to describe, like, if you have a thing, like something that is like in some way making your life harder in any way, and you just don't know what it is, or then you think it's something, but if you don't have the diagnosis for it, it feels like super difficult to live with, like, some things. I don't know. That's at least my personal experience. So I'm really glad you actually got that. I'm happy for you. I hope it will make your life easier. And I hope it makes you feel validated. ADD, awesome, decent dude. Funny. Awesome, decent dude. that's yeah. This is a very big nose, you know. This is like, I don't know. This looks, I don't know. Maybe there's another way. How are you supposed to make like something this tiny? How are you supposed to do that? This is very difficult. This is surprisingly challenging, actually. Well, I will just... What if I just, like, take some of this tumor nose? Oh no. But yeah, you can get a benefit from in Sweden if you're disabled in any way. Which basically means that I can go to work and then the government will help me by paying like half of the, like, what is it called? So I will work, but I don't have to work like 100%. I can work 50% and then the government will pay me like the other 50% of the thing. What is the thing called? The paycheck, basically. Which you have no idea how relieved I am about this, because I have tried my absolute best at being like just working, you know, just working, and I've gotten, every time I did, I got so burned out and it was awful, and I just like wasn't sure what was the thing that I was supposed to be doing. So now the fact that I can work 50% and still be able to live, like, the thing is, I will never earn like a crazy amount of money. It'll always just be like just barely to get by. But the fact that I can get by, you have no idea how much that means to me. Just by being me, I can get by. That is all I need, and I am so glad that I can actually do that here. It feels great. Cause I've been, there's so much that I've been like I've been like thinking like what in the world can I do, you know? If I don't have the energy to do like anything, I get a job and then I will just have to have them fire me once again, because I'm just too sick sometimes. Makes me really sad, and I don't want to do that to people, but I think I will be able to manage if I work 50%. I think that might be manageable. I think. At least I'm hoping. Sounds so familiar. I know. It's very difficult. You know, I don't know if you knew this, Mai, but your help helped me a lot, because before I knew what you were doing, I was just like, I was so scared, and I was thinking, oh man, I'm gonna cry. It's difficult because you don't know what you're gonna do. If you can't do much, you know. And it really sucks, you know. I just want to live, you know. I don't want much. I just want to live. It's not good to get shaky hands while I'm doing something with a needle. yeah, I don't need a lot in my life. I just want to get by. But look how cute this nose is. This turned out so cute. But I just, yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, it's difficult. It's difficult when you like don't know what you're gonna do to like not burn out and stuff, because like also having depression makes it really like exhausting to work, so it's just difficult. Like everything's just made so difficult, and like the whole like bureaucracy war that you have to go through to like get any kind of disability help is crazy. But now I have hope for the future because Sweden is pretty cool with that, and they will help with money because I am autistic, I guess. Oh god, it's it's nothing like this is so stupid. Wait, is it? I don't know. I mean, okay, I don't know if this is like a thing, but like I have like everything like depression, PTSD, friggin' anxiety, all this stuff, but it's like it's the autism. It's the autism that'll get you help. Oh, out of all the things. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny. But then I guess in a way I have a fear that what if I'm not like autistic enough? Yeah, I have like all this stuff, friggin' ADHD, BDSM, PTSD, ADS, pretty much. Yeah, I'm just like nervous that what if I'm not like autistic enough? And they're gonna be like, yeah, so you're not autistic enough. That would be so funny.
You'll just go full on Eric Cartman in the Paralympics.
Oh god. I'm gonna start faking it, like I'm gonna like
honestly at this point.
Pretty much. But yeah, Sweden's pretty cool about the whole thing. Oh god. Somebody joined the mouse club, but I don't know who it was. Welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. Mystery person. So in Finland, autism gets no help, basically. I mean, from what I've been researching, pretty much. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Hello, welcome. Look at this kitty. That's a cute kitty. I actually think it's turning out kind of cute. I do still think that it needs a bigger butt. I think it needs a bigger butt. What do you think?
Oh, dude, cake that boy up.
Yeah, let's
You gotta cake him up.
Cake this boy up. But yeah, I was saying that I was saying earlier that bacon. Yeah, I was saying earlier that because this was given to me by your mom, everything depends on this. So if it doesn't look perfect, your mom is probably gonna ask me to stop seeing you.
Yeah, she will ask you to move out.
Aww.
Yeah.
Aww. Autists and ADHD people can get some laughable Kela benefit, but it's given on case-by-case basis. Dang. Well, probably the reason why I don't know about it is because it's probably not enough for anything. But yeah, I'm just glad that I can actually work and be helped as well. Cause that'll be cool. Stab, stab, stab! Stab, stab, stab! This looks kinda cute. I'm kinda happy about this. But yeah, there's definitely like kitty is looking good, thank you! I know, right? It's pretty cool. The felting looks so good, that's a real cat. Oh, thank you! Thank you, miss you, thank you. Oi. It's so realistic. So realistic. Every time I start like felting it, the chat goes, "Oh, oh god, oh god, she's stabbing a real." Oh wait, this is. Oh, that's the felting project. Oh yeah. What are you doing out there?
Nothing.
Drugs.
Drugs.
That's funny.
I was rummaging through the cupboards looking for a snack, but we don't have any.
We don't have any snacks?
I mean, you have your loops and your little smiley boys.
You can have them.
No.
What about the loops? You want the loops? You can have the loops.
I don't want the loops though.
What do you want? We have carrots.
I kind of want another can of ravioli.
Another can of ravioli. I mean, that's a snack.
My second can. It's not really a snack, no.
A tasty snack.
You know what I mean?
Can of ravioli. And I'm trying to make the paw right now. I don't know if this is like... I'm just trying to make a tube. A can of ravioli. Yeah. It's Bacon's favorite.
My comfort food.
Yeah, comfort food. My comfort food used to be a certain type of pizza. But they don't have it here. So, fuck me, I guess.
You never let me.
Huh?
You never let me.
Oh my.
Listen, you were setting that up so I could
Yeah.
nail it. Like,
Pretty much.
dude.
Pretty much. You're right. The finest ravioli comes from a can, didn't you know? Can of ravioli. I haven't really actually done a lot of testing on what could be my comfort food in Sweden though. Maybe I need to start doing... Ooh, maybe I do another fruit test. Because... Oh, here's the horrible thing when I moved. I don't know what I will for sure like. Because, I don't know if you guys remember, but way back when I was in Finland, I did a fruit tier list stream. And it wasn't just a tier list to see what kind of fruit would be the best. It was also the kind of like, what kind of fruit can I actually eat that will not make me uncomfortable. I do love watermelon, but like, the fruit is completely different. Oh.
Hey.
Banana of pleasure, says banana.
What if we do cheap versus expensive when it comes to like fruits and stuff and vegetables?
Fruits and vegetables, cheap versus expensive.
Maybe like, you know, ecological versus normal.
I mean, we can do that. That would be fun. You should do it with me. I think that would be even more fun.
Okay.
Maybe we will do that at some point.
Yeah. I get paid tomorrow, so.
Yippee! But yeah, I suppose that's... You know, one time, by the way, now that we're like talking about Gela stuff, one time I got paid like €2.
That was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, Kella was like, here you go. €2. Here you go. Don't thank us. Don't thank us. We're just doing our job. €2 for you. For what? For a month. For a month.
Can I just show you this carrot?
Oh, damn.
That is a fucking chunky boy.
Yo. God damn. Save that for me later.
Hallå.
Sluta nu. Oh my god. It looks like a snowman's dick. Oh my god.
It does.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. That's a good one. Oh my god, a snowman wiener. Did you have to pay taxes for that? No, thankfully the taxes were reduced from that one. my precious €2. Yeah, my mom did have to give me like money this month, sadly. I don't like asking my mom for money because like I want to be independent. I mean, who doesn't? But
You want the bite?
of the you're eating the Oh god, that's sick!
Can you bite it?
Oh my goodness. My fucking dick! Thick as fuck!
She bited off my peepness.
Should we be watching this?
Huh?
Han said, should we be watching this?
How people pay extra for it?
Is it just me, or did the shading of the model change somehow? It looks like the shadow that my legs are casting is much larger than it used to. I don't know. Not that it matters that much. This is very difficult to make into a solid little thing. I didn't notice. I thought, I'm not sure, maybe I'm just like freaking crazy. It has been like that for a while. Maybe I'm just crazy. I'm gonna take a sip of my water. Sleep well. I love the sudden Michael Jackson reaction. My headache isn't feeling really any better though. Very unfortunate. But it's not like super bad. Speaking of bad pain though. You know, if you're in my Discord, you might have seen something. But, oh, goodness gracious. Let me tell you. I experienced pain like no other. Oh yeah, you nearly died. It was so bad. It was worst. I can confidently say this is the worst pain I've ever felt. Felt, because because I'm, you know. Sorry. Anyway, it was just like, I think it was just a period pain or something. But then again, I'm not really sure because it didn't hurt like that after a while. Yeah, womb is my lady part. Dang, it's crazy. But yeah, it hurt a lot to the point where I was like crying and begging for more drugs. I ate all the drugs, and that's why Bacon has no more drugs. Yummy, yummy drugs. All for me. All for me. This is looking like a little bean. It's like a little bean. But yeah, it hurt like hell. Even the like IUD. I have an IUD, by the way. But you know, those are notoriously bad. Oh my god, look at this. Look at this. I have table lines. I have table lines. I can't really show it. Look at this. This is terrible. But yeah, notoriously IUD insertion hurts like hell. And, you know, it did hurt like hell when I did get it. And that was the worst pain I ever felt up until a few days ago, when I felt the worst period pain from fucking hell. It was so awful. It was so awful. It was crazy. But I'm pretty sure it's not normal. Oh yeah, I was supposed to call the gynecologist or whatever. Whoops, I forgot. But I will do it tomorrow now that I remember. Hopefully I actually remember this time. But yeah, I need to call the pussy doctor. I gotta hit up the pussy doctor and ask her to fix me. But yeah, I would like to not be in terrible pain whenever I have my period. That would be pleasant if I wasn't in debilitating, horrible pain, you know? You know, usually people like to not be in awful, terrible, debilitating pain. Isn't that crazy? Reminder to call Minnie's gynecologist. The pussy doctor. How crude. Quite familiar with pain, yep. It's not very pleasant, is it? But, you know, the crazy thing about the pain that I felt... Sorry, I keep, getting distracted by that. The horrible thing about it was that it was so awful, the pain, that at some point it started to feel good again. Here's how it was going. It was like terrible. Okay, so at first it was like normal. This part, it's okay. Let's start from here, and we're going up to here. It was normal. Hurts. Oh god. Oh fuck. Oh god. Yeah, and that was the basically the what happened. But after the awful, horrible pain was over, I felt crazy good. Like it was like a... It was so weird because it was like a warmth of, like, it was like a wave of, like, feeling good afterwards, like super good, you know? It felt as if I had taken like some kind of drugs or something. But I'm pretty sure I have not taken any drugs or anything. This sounds like an orgasm. I mean, it practically felt like an orgasm after the pain was over. Because it was that fucking awful. That is your body pushing lots of endorphins into your blood to soothe the pain. Wow! Wow. Endorphins feel good. Who would have thunk? I'm making such discoveries. Such discoveries today. Man, making like 4 of these paws is gonna take forever. It's gonna take forever to make these. Look at this. This doesn't even look like a paw. Looks like a little bean. That's their purpose. Interesting. Sounds like the relief women feel after birth. Damn. Maybe I gave birth without knowing and the child ran away. The kid just ran away. That's a likely thing to happen, right? Wait, how do the paws look actually? Oh wait, I'm actually supposed to add the textures first. Okay. Okay, I can work with this. Let's toss that to the side and give this bad boy some textures. Let's see. This is, oh, I'm so worried about this. This scares me. But you know, maybe it'll be okay. So the first, let's make a line in the middle. You got this. Thank you for believing in me, Reppo. I mean, if I just do like pretty much like this, that's pretty good, right? Like that. Yeah. Just make it very thin. Skinny line. Maybe if I like twist it. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. This is gonna be the coolest freaking kitty. But hey, at least it doesn't look like an owl anymore, right? Doesn't look like an owl. I am so freaking locked in right now. Lock in! Lock in! But yeah, I actually fell asleep crying that night. But thankfully I had bacon, because bacon kept refilling like my hot water bottle thing that helps with the pain. Oh man, I can't even imagine the pain without the freaking water bottle. Like how incredibly bad would it have been? It was so bad that I almost like threw up at one point. I was watching a movie and then one of the cramps hit and I was just like holding it in. I've never experienced pain like that, but I guess it's interesting. Wow. Wow, this kitty has a line. What if we give this kitty a butthole? That'd be kind of funny. So you got any kids? I don't know. The kid ran away after, I think, I gave birth. Oh no! Oh my god, what happened? Oh god! Oh god, a tragedy! Oh god! Oh, I'm so sorry. I won't give you a butthole. I'm so sorry. Please. Please, calm down. Please stop dying. There you go. Look, he's fine. He's fine. It's okay. It's okay. Everything is okay. So what do I do with like this extra little bit now then? Let me take a look. What do the instructions say? Wait. Roll the shredded wool into a cylinder and needle, felting the shape of the legs with the needle. Doesn't really look like I mean, sure. I mean, I guess I could just Bacon, can you bring me scissors?
What kind of scissors?
Just a pair of tiny scissors. Tiuku is underneath the table.
And Tommy is in the tube.
He's what?
Tommy is in the tube.
In the tube. Bless you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna cut this. Is this cheating? I hope this is not cheating. There you go. You know, I guess you're supposed to like shred the wool. But who has time for that? Is Minnie allowed to have scissors? These scissors are the ones I'm allowed to have. They're very tiny. Those are some tiny scissors. Mini scissors for Mini Marley, as they say. I don't know who is saying that, but as they say. There we go. Wow, that looks great. Wow. I really hope that this will be good enough to impress Bacon's mom. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. That's a kitty right there. That's a kitty cat right there. Let's see. This can be used as the little head one. Little this thing. That thing. No scissors are safe when Minnie's around. Dang. It's always a good thing when your community feels safe with you. Welcome. Thank you for the follow. Oi, this is like kind of I have to flatten this. Hey. Oh my god. Look at that. Okay, that works like actually pretty well. I didn't think that would work so well, but here we are. Okay. Oh, this is kind of difficult. You know what? I'm gonna like do this. Okay, I need another needle. Wait. I need to like... Okay, this is like this is an unorthodox way of doing this, but like any method that will work, right? You know? If I do like this is like something from like a Saw movie. And then like if I do this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is like directly from some kind of horror movie. Don't worry, I'm a professional. This is probably how they break all the needles. This is how it happens. Voodoo doll. No, it's not a voodoo doll, I swear. We just make it into a thin line. Very thin. And it's going to be so pretty. What are the cats doing? Oh. That sure is unfortunate. If only someone could help you. Wow, this looks so great. Plastic surgery felt edition. Honestly though, this is a very sensitive... Oh my god, somebody's under my feet. Oh my god. Oh my god, there's a creature. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Hello? Hello? Oh my god. Hello? What are you doing? Creature. You wanna come in here? Wow, look at this, everybody! The felting project is completed. Okay, I don't want to like accidentally dox myself. Look at that, the felting project is complete. And he is alive and well. Come here. There you go. Wow, look at that. Isn't that great? Amazing work, so realistic. I know, right? I know, right? It's so realistic. You should look at the camera. Look at the camera. You're a funny little baby. He is so cute though. Let me just oh wow, he has like, oh my god, where have you been? You're so dusty. Goodness. Look at him. He wants to like inspect the stuff on the table. Look at this baby. Look at this baby. Oh, he's so tired. Such a tired boy. So realistic. Proof of my pantlessness. Ooh. Ooh, check it out, chat. It's my ankle. Ooh, this is a spicy stream now. Ankle. Ankle revealed. Oh, you're the baby. It's just a little boy. It's just a little boy. Oh, don't go on the table, please. I don't want you to step on a needle accidentally. Yeah, Tiuku is a very he's very clingy, I guess you could say. Because he just keeps clinging on to me. Yes, you're so clingy. You're such a clingy boy. Yeah, Tiuku is getting bullied. Oh, not by Tommy though. It's just me. Just me. This is what he usually does when whenever I'm on my computer or anything. He'll just like invade my privacy and just like sleep on my lap. Oy. I wonder what he would think about this. I will let you sniff him without the needles though. You wanna sniff him? Yeah. It's you. Pretty much. I got like a lot more orange. He's very confused about it. Oy. I think this is my cue to end the stream. Let me touch your little paws. He's so cute. He wants to go on the table so bad. You can tell. You can look at him and you can see. Why do you have a severed cat head? What do you mean? Are you saying that this looks like a severed cat head? I mean, I guess. In a way. I'm bullying him. I'm just a gay little bit of kitty. With a little bit of kitty. Oh, you're the butter butter. I just a butter da butter da. I just a butter da butter butter da. He's so cute. He's so cute. Tommy is playing with a box. just compare the proportions. Looks like the miniature cat head for sure. No, I mean, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. I guess I was not meant to be a filter. I'm gonna put you on the floor now, kitty. Come here. Come here, kitty cat. Come here. He doesn't wanna go. I'll cuddle you later, okay? pussy, my pussy. I like to call him my pussy boy. I think I need to continue some other time to make this beautiful masterpiece that is this felting project. Oh man, I can't believe my cat left kitty dandruff all over my table. Ugh. Gross. Gross. He's keeping the stream going by any way he can. Oh my god. Hey, Domi. Now my other kitty is here. It's a kitty meeting. Meeting time. Okay. Let me just take a look at who we can go to. Cause I'm gonna raid somebody. It is getting late. I am eepy deepy. Ooh. Wait. Is there already... Oh! I'm gonna... Oh my. This person has been going on for... 8 hours. Maybe some other... Oh! I just found the perfect person to raid. We're gonna raid Winry. I love raiding Winry. For those who don't know, Winry is my dear friend, and I adore Winry. And she's playing Bitcraft, which has drops on right now. So that's pretty cool. Drops! Everybody loves drops. There we go. I'm excited. I hope Winry will stream for a long time because yeah, I like Winry streams. I hope everyone sleeps well. I hope you guys have a nice time as well. I mean, I don't know if it's nighttime for everyone else, but I'm gonna go sleep. Sleepy deepy. Oops. There we go. Ah! Okay, you guys have a good time on Winry stream, and thank you for joining today. I had a lot of fun. I'm getting like slightly slightly delirious because my head hurts a little. Actually, kind of a lot, but that's okay. That's okay. It'll be fine once I sleep. Yeah. I hope you guys have a good time. Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Have fun. Yes, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay. Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye.